So iridology is a diagnostic tool. It's based on an examination of the human iris, and the plural of iris, by the way, which you'll hear this word coming up a lot as we go through this process, is irides, I-R-I-D-E-S. It looks like irides, but it's pronounced irides. It's a Latin word. So what we're looking at is the individual patterns, colours, etc., various other signs that we can see within the iris when it's magnified that allow us to make draw certain conclusions and make some diagnostic pronouncements. It's quite a recent technique. In terms of traditional medicine, it only goes back about 150 years. It was first discovered in mid-19th century Europe, and we'll be talking a little bit about who discovered it and how that happened. And since that time, it's spread around the world, mainly through the naturopathic and homeopathic communities. But there are areas where medical personnel also use iridology, and we'll be having a look at that as well. We're having a look at the scientific evidence base for iridology, what evidence exists to confirm that it actually works to some extent at least, and how it's used in diagnosis. And if we start by saying that what iridology reveals is not diagnosis in the way we would normally think of it. When you go to a doctor and you have a problem, you'd usually go there thinking that he's going to tell you the name of the disease or the condition that you have. This isn't quite what we're doing in iridology. We use the word terrain, that word in italics on the screen there, which is the tissue status within the body or within various parts of the body. And it's the status of the tissue, the condition of the tissues, the strength and resistance of the tissues, the levels of intoxication and encumbrance, if you like, or the level of cleanliness of tissues, which determines the outcome of health for the individual. So when we're making our diagnosis is a little different from the medical diagnosis. We're not so interested in putting a name to a disease or a condition. We're much more interested in the conditions out of which the disease or the symptoms arise. And this is also based on an idea of constitution. And we'll be looking at that concept in great detail as we go through this training course. It's one of the fundamental principles of iridology, is that what the iris actually reveals is the constitution of the individual who owns the irides. And we're talking about this in terms of what we might call a natal disposition. You inherit it, it's evident at birth. We're not looking at a sort of a huge changeability of the iris. We'll discuss iris changes as we go through, and there are a few that we need to know about. But largely, what you inherit at birth is going to set the template, if you like, and the theme for your health on a lifelong basis. And that's why iridology is such a wonderful technique from the point of view that it gives us a background to the development of health complaints that we might experience. So it tells us what perhaps is malfunctioning, what's not so strong constitutionally, what needs to be supported, nourished, cleansed, etc., so that our constitution can function and adapt as best as possible to the circumstances of our lives.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe below so you don't miss any future content. To learn more about CNM or its courses, head to www.naturopathy-uk.com.